Hi, Spark friends, and welcome back to season 2 of Food is Medicine. And my name is Rachel. I work as a registered dietitian and diabetes educator. I'm originally from Prince Rupert, and on my father's side, I'm a member of the Nlaka'pamux band, and on my mother's side, I'm of Chinese ancestry. And I'm here with my good friend Fiona.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. I'm Fiona. I'm also a dietitian, and I'm a white settler of Irish ancestry and first generation to the homelands of Turtle Island. We're in the beautiful homelands of the Nlaka'pamux peoples, and the community is also close by to the small town of Lytton. And many of you know what happened on these lands last summer with the heat wave, the heat dome. And we are here to learn about how the fires, temperatures in 50 degrees, how it impacted the peoples, but also the food systems. We've been invited by the Adams family to come learn, and I think we're going on a walk or a hike with them.
Yeah. Harvest some food. I feel really grateful that the Adams family has offered to take us off into their homelands and see what foods we can find, and then hopefully we can cook them a meal later.
And eat, I hope, as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a really great day. Let's go meet them.
Great.
At one time, this whole valley was nice and green. Everybody was living off the land. We had gardens, we had apple trees, we had cows, horses. All the people in the valley here lived off the land. We had cellars where we got our food from. We didn't have to go downtown like we have to do now. I've seen a lot of changes. Like everybody else depend on the store, but before, our mom and dad used to go out and pick everything off the land, like up the mountain, pick huckleberries and scotium and sawada and hako and saws. You know, not too many people do that nowadays, and I'm glad that we're recording this because someday in the future, the kids will see it.
My name is Albert Adams, and this is my elder brother, Buster Adams. I'd like to welcome you guys to our Nlaka'pamux territory. This is where our ancestors gathered all their food for the winter.
Thank you so much for inviting us and showing us your homelands.
Yeah.
And I think later today, hopefully we'll get to cook up some of the food that we find.
Yeah.
And we can share the recipes with some of the youth.
Oh, yeah. We'll be gathering some wild potatoes. It's called kaduan. And then we'll be grabbing some sawada. And on our way back, we'll be looking for heko on the way back along the road. We might be able to find some stunning nettle too. But the main thing is we're going to get some sawada and some potatoes.
And sawada is something that is known, I think, as Indian celery. Is that
Yeah, that's Indian celery, yeah. And kaduan is a wild potato.
amazing?
Yeah.
Perfect for this windy day.
Yeah. It'll warm us up when we get back home.
Yeah, we'll end the day nourished.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, there's lots here. Oh, my goodness. Did you find one?
These are beautiful.
And just pop it up.
So at the bottom of every stem, is there just one little potato?
Yeah. Usually.
So it's a pretty prized food, hey?
Yeah. And you got to get lots before.
Oh, so beautiful.
And these are the tools that we use.
You call it kalach in our language. Kalach.
Kalach.
Kalak?
Kalach.
Jewels.
Yeah. Did you want to try prying up one?
I would love to.
I just look at where they are, and then you just kind of pry beside it and then try to pry it up. It's a lot of work, isn't it? That's why I don't pick very much of this.
Oh, I got a big one.
Go, girl.
Holy.
Holy.
That's a good one.
Good.
Good one.
Okay.
You're doing good.
The flower is so pretty with that little bit of pink.
Yeah.
So is it in bloom for about a month?
Yeah.
About a month, yeah.
Once the flowers are gone, they have a harder time finding it.
Yeah.
If they're gone, they're gone.
Take care of the land, and the land will take care of you. That's That's part of the teachings. But we're going to climb this little hill here and go around a little bit, and then there's a good spot there where I picked some sweta, and it's big, and the centers are still tender. So that'll be the best part to be picking. So we'll continue on over this way. See this one. See, when I was picking them the other day, these were still closed. But what I do now, because they're starting to get overripe, I just take that off like that. The tender part of the plant. This is the outer part, and this is the centers. I'm taking the centers. That's the tender part, and this is still kind of tender because it was near the middle.
We're gonna head back to the house now, and we're gonna cook some of this beautiful Indian celery. Soweta, thank you. And some tatuin, the wild potato that we harvested down below.
Well, we can't thank you enough for these last couple hours, and I feel so grounded just harvesting with you, so it's been magical.
I'm sure glad I can share our traditional foods with other people, because it's very important in this climate change, and it's put an effect on all traditional territories. And I mean, it's here yet, and I don't know what's going to happen in a few years. Maybe we won't be able to harvest this stuff anymore, but I'm sure glad I knew from my older brothers and sisters and my grandmas and aunts and that, because they used to sit here all day picking this stuff and bringing it back home, processing it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys came. Yeah.
All right, we just got back from being on the land, and I'm really excited because we are going to be making some fish soup with Buster, or Boom Boom as he's also called.
Yeah.
Buster's going to show us how he makes his traditional fish soup, and then we're going to make another version of a fish soup afterwards.
Oh, yeah. We're boiling some water here for our fish soup. Beautiful. So we're doing a sockeye. We call it squash, in our language, squash. We're making shajiku. Shajiku is a soup. We call souffle. Shajiku we're making right now. So all I have to do is put this in the water. Coats.
Don't burn yourself.
Hot, right?
Look at the fat already coming out.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're gonna let it boil. We'll cover it for a few minutes. Just to let it boil. Then we'll take it back out again, and we'll take the skin off, and we put our vegetables. We're gonna open it up and check our salmon.
Wow.
Taking the fish out, and we're gonna take the skin out of it. It didn't fall apart yet.
Perfect.
You've done this before.
Beautiful.
When you boil it for a little bit, the skin comes right out.
So nicely.
We want to get it in the water and boiling. Oops. I break it up a bit, break it up in little chunks for the like chop fish chowder. Then the old timers too, they never used to use potatoes. They just put it in the water and boiled it, and they called shajiku. That's what they used to drink, like a tea. And they take the fish out and they eat it with whatever they have, like rice or potatoes. But we're making soup now, so we're putting all our vegetables in, potatoes and that. Only two ingredients we use: the potatoes and onions.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people put down celery or carrots in it, but I find out when we use celery and carrots together, take the flavor out the fish away. So it's the two ingredients are good to add.
You want me to do it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, but we're splashing one.
So that's 1 onion and 4 potatoes. And we've kept the skin on. I actually didn't even ask you if you do that, but we kept the skin on for the fiber.
Good now.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll let this boil for about maybe 30, 35 minutes. I like a good boil like that. You put a little bit of pepper in there.
Pepper. Got pepper.
More salt?
More salt. A lot of people say don't salt it. People salt their old fish later, but I like this salt to mix in with the water right away and bring more flavor out for the salmon. The potato will turn the water kind of pinky later on when it's boiling. So we've got to let it boil to about 35 minutes. It'll be good.
Do you put the lid on?
Yep. Then,
Yeah, the potatoes that kind of act as a thickener, okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to keep checking it and keep stirring it. It's just mixed
Okay, you have to care for it.
long.
Cooking.
Yeah.
Tend to it.
Because the grease, the salmon comes up and it kind of stays on top. You got to keep.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll enjoy the fish. First time we're going to have fish soup for a long time. So I'm going to enjoy this meal today.
Yes.
Well, Cook's Jan for sharing. It's such a simple, quick
It's real simple, yeah.
verse.
A lot of people put a lot of vegetables in there, like corn, whatever you got. And that's going to take the fish flavor away to be like a vegetable soup then.
Yeah, well, it's great. We're going to cook up a vegetable one and then we can have a taste off. And we'll eat it both later.
And now we are going to prepare some fish soup 2 ways. And can you tell me what we have here?
We've got some dried salmon here, and it's a sockeye. And the sockeye is the only kind of fish that we mostly dry. It takes about, I'd say about 2 weeks to dry if you have a nice warm wind. But it makes a really good soup, or you can eat it like this right off the skin. And
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
and you can pack it with you if you're going hiking or something. It's very light, but mostly our people like it in like a soup. We call it Stwen.
Stwen.
Yeah,
So this is Stwen.
yeah, Stwen.
Or wind-dried fish.
Yeah, and then the skin, you can eat the skin too. Some of our members use the skin in with the soup. They just cut these pieces off, but it's a really good fish that give you a lot of energy, even when you're out hiking.
Can I see all the weight?
Sure, you can take a look at it.
Well, that is the most lightweight backpacking.
And that is a 6 or 7 pound sockeye.
Wow.
So warm wind in about 2 weeks to get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
And how do you store that through the year?
You could just keep it in a sack or in a cool spot, and it'll stay dry. It'll never get any more drier than this. It'll just stay like that. Yeah, it'll stay dry. Yeah, and it'll last a long time. Yeah. What we can do is, if you want to grab that one, we could just take it off the skin and we can put it inside.
That's
water.
Okay. We have some boiling water.
Boil it. We boil this for about maybe 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Okay,
we're breaking it off the skin.
Okay.
We're just adding it in.
Yeah, we'll just add it in. Yeah.
Okay.
Add it all to that. It's a very good fish that we can have soup or pack it with you or.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And that's going to be a good meal.
Yeah, that's it. I'll check back in 20 minutes. Okay, so Buster's gone inside and is finishing the cooking of his soup. So now we're gonna make the Stwen soup. Stwen
Getting nods from the crowd when
Stwen soup. But we're gonna modify it a little bit. So earlier we had Albert showing us how to boil the Stwen, the wind-dried fish here. And so what he's shared with me and what his wife Irene has shared with me is that after it's boiled, you add all the vegetables and then you let it finish cooking for about an hour or so. We're gonna do it a little bit differently because I know a lot of people that are watching don't have access to wind-dried fish. This is the first time I've ever seen wind-dried fish. Yeah, so exciting. But in my freezer at home, I have some half-smoked fish. And half-smoked fish, generally you would add at the end of a soup. So we're gonna kind of play with the recipe a little bit so you can make it with wind-dried fish, or you could make it with canned fish or half-smoked fish or whatever fish you have at home.
Because I have grocery store fish. Okay, on my trading skills.
Okay. All right. So how we're going to start, we're going to get some olive oil. The pan is hot. I'm gonna put about a tablespoon of olive oil in and let it heat up. And then here we have 1 onion, which we've chopped. This is my preferred size for a soup, the size of this onion. And then we have 3 pieces of celery and 3 carrots. So you can see we didn't peel the carrots because if you've watched any of our other episodes, we don't like peeling our vegetables because a lot of the nutrients is hidden right underneath the skin.
So we just give them a quick wash, right?
Quick wash, quick scrub. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so this seems like it's pretty warm. So I'm gonna add it into here. So what we're gonna do is let this cook for about 10 minutes at a medium heat. And it's gonna soften nicely, not necessarily brown, but it's gonna help infuse our soup with a lot of flavor so we don't have to use like a store-bought vegetable stock. Okay, so we'll come back in about 10 minutes.
I can't tell you how this smell is just so delicious, and it's just so simple. It's the carrots, onions, and celery. But they've got it crispy. Let's show the camera like how yummy they look. But the smell is just really great.
This is a great base anytime you want to make a vegetable broth or vegetable stock. And just sauteing it beforehand helps to deepen and make the flavors more complex. So it's kind of like a cheater's version of a stock. You can make it in like an hour. So now what we're gonna do, now that we have the base going, is we're gonna start adding the liquids and then the vegetables as well. So we have here, and this is an Addams Family way of making fish soup. We have a can of diced tomatoes. So this is about 3 cups. So we're gonna add this.
I love canned tomatoes.
And then we're gonna add 3 cups of liquid. So you could use water, you could use broth, or what we have here is the Stwen, the wind-dried fish, and the water it was boiled in. So we're gonna use that because there's gonna be a lot of flavor in there. So I'm just gonna do about 3 cups to start with. So about equal amounts as that can of tomatoes. It's 2.
Oh, you can see in the water, you can see the beautiful fat being gifted into the water. It's beautiful.
Awesome. And now we're gonna add potato. That often goes into a fish soup. I think I wouldn't be allowed to make a fish soup without potato. So we have 1 potato here. We've kept the skin on, and we've chosen the Yukon Gold because it tends to be better for blood sugar levels.
Have we heard from the Addams family if we could use the Tatuan, like the little potato, if we wanted in there?
Yeah, we were told that we could use the Tatuan. We would have to boil it separately first and take the skin off and then add it at the end.
Perfect. So it's an option.
Yeah. And then we also have here some cauliflower and some corn, which we're not going to add. But I just wanted to mention that often when I'm making fish soup and I don't want to add a lot of potato, I'll use cauliflower instead because I find it can kind of thicken the soup a little bit and adds a nice texture, but the flavor is a bit overpowering and we really want to taste the fish. And do you sometimes add corn to your fish soup?
Or more of the community members shared with me that they add corn, but it adds a bit of color and a nice vegetable and definitely a bit of fiber.
Great.
We're going to honor the Addams fish soup today.
Okay, and now we have the Stwen, the wind-dried fish. That's been boiling. It was boiling for about half an hour, 45. Yeah.
Gosh, it looks gorgeous. Oh, you can smell it. It's very strong, very delicious.
Okay. And then of course, if you didn't have the wind-dried fish and you wanted to use half-smoked fish, you wouldn't add it now. You would let everything boil for about 45 minutes or until the potatoes cooked. And then you would add your half-smoked fish or your jarred fish and let that heat up.
We're also going to add a bay leaf, which many of you might use fresh or dried. I had fresh, so we're going to add a bit of bay leaf for some added flavor. And of course, you don't eat a bay leaf. You take it out when it's done, but we're going to add that in. And we had such a great day today learning about sweta or celery seed plant or Indian consumption plant. And so we have some of the sweta here, and we had so much fun harvesting it. So this is it. It's spring shoots, and then the spring leaves, and then just if people want to recognize it, this is its fall seed. But people have shared with us that it's a replacement for bay leaf, and so we're going to add some into our soup. And so it has a beautiful, subtle celery-like flavor. So we're excited to honor our harvest and enjoy some sweta.
Awesome. So we're going to let this boil for about 45 minutes. We'll come back, check the potatoes, and as soon as the potatoes are done, then we know the soup is ready. So see you soon. Okay, so I'm really excited about these wild potatoes, or the duin.
The doing is right, the doing, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That we harvested today with Boom Boom.
Yeah.
And so Boom Boom's gonna show us how to cook them. And then afterwards, we're gonna kind of plate it into a meal that the Adams family likes to enjoy. All right, so walk me through what you normally do.
What we usually do is just put it in the boiling water for about maybe 10, 15 minutes. Then we take it out and we eat it. You could eat it hot or you could eat it cold, but I like mine cold. I don't know why, but I like it cold.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
And can you remind me, do we eat the skin after it's been cooked?
A lot of people really don't eat the skin.
Don't eat the skin.
Because it's pretty hard. The skin itself is pretty hard, eh? You could try to eat them, but I recommend not to eat it because the potato itself is the best part.
Okay, we'll do what's recommended.
See, the little ones, when you eat it, you just kind of squeeze it and it'll come out to you. When it's cooked, it comes out really easy, the skin part.
Okay,
So it kind of pops out of the
Yeah,
skin.
it pops out. But
Okay.
great. And then you also shared with me that you actually prefer the little ones.
yeah, the little ones are, to me, it's real good because the bigger ones, these big ones like this, you either got some kind of a root going across it. It's kind of woody. You can still eat it, but you're going to find out there's something like a root growing outside it. But the little ones don't have it. I'd rather eat the little ones myself than that big one.
We'll save you all the little ones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the water boiling.
Yeah.
And then we're just gonna add them in here and then let them cook for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes are good. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just cook these ones here.
You're going to save these?
Those are for you for later.
Oh.
All right, so we'll let this boil and we'll come check about 20 minutes.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we finished cooking the wild potato, the tatoon, and what we've done is we plated it just like the Adams family had suggested. So we have some rice here. We chose to use brown rice, wild rice mixture. And then we have the tatoon. Let's show them how we kind of got this out. So Buster told us he likes the medium to small. So we just kind of squeezed it like that. And then put the flesh in there and didn't use the skin as was suggested. I actually tried it. It's not so bad. And what would you say the flavor of the potatoes like?
Like completely like a spud.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the consistency was kind of like a water chestnut almost, like a little bit sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicious. I wish you could all try it right now.
Yes.
And right here we have the sweta, which we harvested today, and we blanched it just quickly. So we've added it here. And we were told to serve it with some jarred salmon, which we've done. And then we topped it with some seaweed.
It's so perfect. And if you didn't, you could substitute for a regular potato with the skin on or some blanched seaweed or kale or something, right? It's just such a great, quick dinner.
Yeah, perfect.
We are just so grateful. We've had such a great day. I'm a little tired after all that hiking. I don't think I could keep up with you for a full day. But, as I've acknowledged a few times, I'm not Indigenous. I'm a settler to these lands, and I have had the honor to learn from the Coast Salish, the Nuu-chah-nulth, and the Kwakwaka'wakw for many years. But I am always mindful of what is my information to learn and also what is my information to share. And you shared so openly that you were here sharing with us today for the youth. And that was the most important aspect of that. And so, we're making it a cooking show that is really important, that we highlight the important, bountiful, and tended and cultivated Indigenous food systems across British Columbia, or what is known as British Columbia?
Our territory is a very large area, but the valleys we do have in our territory, like we've got so much medicines up there that it's really good for our peoples. And I would like to see our younger generation coming up and utilizing all the medicines we do have in the valleys. I know majority of that live in the community, and we do have members that are away from the communities. But the most important is that we get our younger generation into the traditional foods that we cherish in their valleys. And before, there was plenty of all of this food. Now they're talking global warming, and I hate to see some of the territory get affected by the global warming and lose some of our traditional foods. But I would sure love to share it with the younger generation, and through there, it's my goal to get our younger generation back on that traditional food. And
a lot of the kids that are growing up nowadays never ever seen what we ate or what we were brought up on. And with the Stein Valley Nlaka'pamux School, teaching all this to our newer generation, and to keep the traditional going I think is very, very important.
All right, so the fish soup is finished. So this one's been cooking for about 45 minutes. And we ended up adding back an additional 2 cups of the stock to make it nice and soupy. So I think that's almost ready to serve. And how does Buster soup look?
Yeah, I've been put into the apprentice role, but it looks gorgeous, and I think it looks ready. The potatoes are nice and soft. And so I think we're ready. Should we serve up some soup and go eat with our new friends?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode and eating soup and enjoying new friends and new ways to cook things.
And stay tuned for the next episode of Dear Sue.
There you go. Thanks for sharing your meal with us. Eat a bit of broth.
Cute.